Namaskar and welcome back to yet another edition of the myth behind an asana. This time, Vīrabhadrāsana. Ever wondered why the peaceful practice of yoga includes a pose named after a warrior? This pose is so well known for all practitioners from very beginners to advanced yogis. But do we really understand the meaning behind the asana? There is a tragic love story behind this posture. The story is one of love, hate, violence, sadness, and forgiveness. Once upon a time in the celestial realms, Lord Shiva and a young woman named Sati fell madly in love and wed. Sati's father, King Daksha, didn't approve of his daughter marrying a wild yogi whom he thought was bizarre with his renunciate ways like Lord Shiva. To show his disapproval, King Daksha organized a great ceremony known as Yajna, to which he invited all but not Lord Shiva and Sati. Against Shiva's advice, Sati attended the ceremony, and before thousands of guests, she asked her father why he had not invited them. In his response, Daksha insulted Lord Shiva, and Sati was so angry with her father that she burst into flames and was reduced to ashes. Shiva soon heard the news of his wife's tragic death. He tore off his clothes and ripped out his jattars, the dreadlocks. From one of his jattars arose Vīrabhadrā. Veera meaning hero and Bhadra meaning friend. Shiva then directed his warrior friend to go to the yajna and kill everyone, behead Daksha and drink his blood. It is here that we can see the links between this story and the warrior poses that we know as Vīrabhadrāsana 1, 2 and 3. Imagine the poses. Vīrabhadrāsana 1. Vīrabhadrā entered the yajna by thrusting his way up from deep underground with his sword held over his head in both hands. Next, Vīrabhadrā made his presence known to the yajna guests by standing with his sword poised and ready to strike. That is Vīrabhadrāsana 2. Finally, as in Vīrabhadrāsana 3, Vīrabhadrā lifted his sword into the air and, as instructed by Shiva, quickly and precisely severed the head of King Daksha. When Shiva came to the party to see what Vīrabhadrā had done, he was heartbroken. His rage turned to sadness followed by compassion. He searched for Daksha, finding only his body. Filled with remorse, Shiva found a goat's head and placed it on Daksha's body, bringing his father-in-law back to life. After Daksha awakened, he recognized Shiva's kindness and bowed down. When Daksha's heartbeat returned, his perspective had shifted. He too felt regret for his ways, and from then on, he called Shiva Shiva Shankara, the kind and benevolent one. In the end, Sati also came back to life by reincarnating as Parvati, another goddess and wife of Shiva. Well, contrary to appearances, Vīrabhadrāsana is not in conflict with the peaceful ahimsa of yoga practice. We are not celebrating a warrior, a destructor, or the murdered. Instead, we acknowledge our own spiritual warrior who every day does battles with our own laziness, self-ignorance, false perceptions, and a distracted mind. Here, Shiva represents our higher selves, Sati represents the heart, and King Daksha represents the ego. We can interpret the myth of Vīrabhadrā as symbolizing the inner work of the yogi. When Vīrabhadrā kills Daksha, one could say the warrior represents an aspect of the higher self that manifests to slay the human ego represented by Daksha. Then when Shiva brings Daksha back to life, he reminds us that the inner work isn't as simple as destroying the parts of ourselves we don't like. Instead, if we extend compassion towards the stubborn, harmful sides of our own self, we can invite them to soften and relinquish control. Through our warriorship, we can befriend rather than admonish our egos. We can accept ourselves, even the aspects we wish to discard, every part. Let us not forget our spiritual warrior when things become difficult, not just on the mat, but also in all battles that we face in our life off the yoga mat. Let us summon him every time and be inspired. After all, Vīrabhadrā is a warrior for love. Thank you.